Hello everyone. I'm trying a slightly different recording setup this week, so let's see how it goes. And it's quite late, so let's see if I fall asleep halfway through. Yesterday I had a massive fatigue hit, so it's absolutely a possibility. Okay, so today I'm talking about the importance of insurance independent financial advice. It's a bit of a change of pace. Now this week's post does feel like one of the more important ones I've made to date, and I hope it will be of use to those of you who are fit and well and in your 20s to middle age, perhaps with a mortgage, a significant other, and or a young family to support as I have. Now I do appreciate there is a danger this might come across as a preachy infomercial, but rest assured you are not the first people I've talked to about this. I've had this exact discussion with many of my closest friends and colleagues, a number of whom have expressed their thanks for giving them a nudge on this, as it was a topic they had always wanted to discuss with their partner, but had avoided it to date. Perhaps because they felt it might be tempting fate, so had always put it on the back burner. I know when we started to discuss this together, that was kind of how I felt as well. Now, before I begin, an important point. Now, neither of the businesses I mentioned in this have incentivised me in any way to write this. I simply wanted to recognise that their wise counsel and the options they proposed to us have made a huge difference to our future as a family following my injury. And that's an enormous gift they've given us. So firstly, I'd like to talk about the role of our mortgage broker, Lorna Essen of Just Mortgages. When we last needed to remortgage in 2022, I called Lorna, as I have done a number of times in the past, and as usual she found me a great deal, then suggested we also look again at my life insurance. My wife and I had previously agreed that we should at least take out life cover for me that would fully cover the remaining balance of our mortgage, at which point Lorna suggested, shall we also get some critical illness quotes as well on the same basis whilst we do that? I agreed, and Lorna went away and came back with a set of quotes. And whilst the life insurance was fine, the cost of the critical illness cover did scare me somewhat, but I agreed to talk to my wife about it over the next few evenings. After reflecting for a couple of days, we decided to go ahead with it, as both of our kids were under 12 at that point, and also in part because a colleague of mine had recently experienced a life-changing injury at a similar age as I was at that time, which did make me reconsider our current financial situation, and thank goodness it did. One important thing to think about here is that the reason critical illness cover is expensive, it's because it pays out quite often. That's right, a lot of these injuries happen even to young, fit, healthy people like you and I, with no history of ill health. For this reason, I'd urge you not to start the process with a budget in mind for the premium you are prepared to pay. Instead, just get the quotes in, then discuss them heart to heart with your partner once they're in, and start the discussion from the view of what can we not afford to lose, rather than how much are we prepared to pay. But get the quotes in and discuss them. This doesn't mean I'm urging everyone to take out this cover, only that you should get some quotes in and make a conscious decision together about what level of critical illness and life cover you both need, rather than not having the conversation because it feels rather morose to do so during or at the end of date night. Instead, time it for a time you both have at least an hour to discuss the issue at home with phones down and on silent to ensure interruptions from friends and family are avoided, and also at a time when your small people are occupied elsewhere, so you can focus fully without any distractions. Again, try not to start from the perspective of what premium can we afford to pay, because everyone's initial reaction to critical illness quotes tends to be, wow, that's expensive. Instead, talk about what can we not afford to lose, and what do we want all of our lives to look like if a life-changing injury happens to one of us. It's a scary conversation to have, but avoiding it won't help either of you. Remember that no one can tell you with any certainty what level of cover you should have, but what is important is not to put off the discussion indefinitely, but make a conscious decision together based on your attitude to risk. But do remember that 335,000 people a year are admitted to hospital with a life-changing brain injury, many of whom cannot return to their previous work And 30% of stroke victims, for example, are now under 50 for reasons no one fully understands. Though it seems likely stress may be a contributor, as the rise has disproportionately affected those who are in higher paid executive type jobs. So it does seem stress may be a contributor. Secondly, in parallel with the discussion about insurance, you may wish to get some independent financial advice to look at all aspects of your finances before you make the final decision on the cover you could purchase. And in the event the worst does happen and your insurance does pay out, definitely get some independent advice at that point to ensure you don't receive any avoidable tax bills or mortgage penalties. In our case, we consulted Victor Sachs of VS Associates, who had previously advised us on estate planning during our will making and legal power of attorney setup. And I should talk about both of those in a future post too, because they're important. And Victor did a great job of presenting some options for us and making it simple, because it is a bit of a maze when a large amount of money like that does appear in your account, and he's really helped us to understand the options that we had and make sure that we did everything in a right and proper way and made decisions that gave us options for the future. So thank you to Victor and Lorna, of course, for what you've done. That will do, I think, for tonight. And sorry if it was a bit raw, but I did want to make this video because I think it's more powerful if it's spoken. And all I would ask is, don't put this conversation off. In Britain especially, we don't like to talk about death or injury. It's not something that we have historically been good at as a nation. So I would definitely urge you to talk about this with your partner and make these decisions consciously. Don't let them just happen to you because you didn't discuss it. Because I'm evidence that these things do happen to people with no previous health conditions, who just experience a bit of bad luck. I fell off my bike and tore my carotid artery here. Clot formed, 2 weeks later went to my brain, and nothing anyone could have done about that because I didn't have any sign of head injury at the time of the crash. So they would never have given me an MRI scan in casualty because I didn't present any of those signs. So that happened to me, and unfortunately it could happen to you. So have a think about it. Thank you.